Fatima and Alauddin moved with their family to Dhaka in February 2012 in search of economic opportunity. Unable to support a growing family as a tenant farmer, Alauddin found employment from a cleaning service provider, and Fatima secured a job as a housekeeper. Renting one room in Coral slum for the five of them, they're fortunate to afford basic expenses, but any unexpected cost might put them over the financial edge. Fatima and Alauddin are not unique. They are part of a growing population migrating from Bangladesh's rural regions to the urban centers. Dhaka alone, already home to 12 million, receives over 300,000 migrants each year. It is expected that the percent of Bangladesh's population living in urban regions will grow from 25 to 33% by 2015. Despite great achievements in development, poverty remains a grim reality for many living in Bangladesh's rural villages. Seasonal rainfalls in Bangladesh are growing more intense and unpredictable, leading to increased flooding and river erosion. Once reliable agricultural jobs have become more insecure, and land is quickly disappearing. As people are pushed off the land, they are also pulled into the cities, which are seen as a destination of economic opportunity. The country's service economy, located mainly in its urban centers, accounts for 3% annual increase in gross domestic product. The informal sector of rickshaw pullers, street vendors, domestic workers, and others are largely comprised of rural migrants seeking to tap into the wealth of the city. Firoz is a rickshaw puller in his early 30s. He moved to Dhaka alone in search of a stable income to support his wife and 3 children who still live in their village in Rangpur. He earns 300 taka per day and sends most of his earnings back to his family. While in Dhaka, he sleeps on top of the garage with over a dozen other drivers. He would like to bring his family to Dhaka, where his wife could earn more, but he cannot afford to. The stories of Firoz, Fatima, and Alauddin hint at the diversity of people who are converging in Dhaka. Each man or woman departs under different circumstances, stays for varying amounts of time, and faces a diverse set of challenges. And yet, urbanization involves more than migration from the villages to Dhaka. Even in second-tier cities, there is great growth. In 2011, 2 municipal areas were elevated to city corporations, and in 2012, Rangpur became the 9th city corporation. Even as people migrate to these cities, they maintain close ties with their rural communities. A focus solely on urban dwellers neglects the fluidity that exists between urban and rural communities. Young men from the same village often travel as a group to save on costs and work together. Many, such as Firoz, return home every couple of weeks to celebrate festivals and holidays and stay for longer periods whenever seasonal employment is available. With these features of urban poverty in mind, it is important to address 3 needs of the poor: support for entrepreneurship, vital services, and increased safety and stability. Migrants are moving to cities across Bangladesh because they hope to solve their economic problems. However, many urban migrants face hard times. Injuries may prevent them from working, or an unlucky string of events may leave some without money or work. Since launching its first urban development program in 1998, the Bangladeshi non-profit organization BRAC has greatly expanded its role in addressing urban poverty, establishing its trademark microfinance, health, and education programs in cities throughout the country. The program, entitled Challenging the Frontiers of Poverty Reduction, aims at supporting the ultra-poor to gain the skills, assets, aspirations, and social network to move out of poverty. It has adapted a model to work with extremely vulnerable households in the slums of Dhaka. The urban model reflects the distinct challenges and opportunities of urban life. Assets were more entrepreneurial, including materials for food vending or selling clothes or fish. If these new entrepreneurs chose to move back to their village, many of them can open the same type of businesses in their local bazaars. Increasing urbanization in rural areas is creating opportunities for marginalized women to become successful businesswomen. In the villages cropping up in the industrial area surrounding Dhaka, BRAC is supporting women to set up several types of enterprises, packing single-sized packets of detergent, making purses, and providing other goods that replicate what one finds in the busy markets of cities. Beyond the demand for jobs and livelihoods, however, exists an urgent need within each city for crucial services, such as health, sanitation, and education. BRAC has begun to leverage experience from its traditional operations in rural areas to develop similar programs in various cities, adjusting projects to account for the unique lifestyles found in the cities. For instance, to improve maternal, neonatal, and child health in the slums, BRAC began the Manushi program. The program is heavily community-based, with health workers conducting home visits and local birthing centers staffed with trained birth attendants, while also providing strong referral links to hospitals to ensure that high-risk deliveries receive adequate care. At the heart of urban poverty in Bangladesh is the sense of insecurity that pervades each person's life. This insecurity takes many forms, including unsafe transportation to the cities and uncertain housing. Transportation that men, women, and families take in pursuit of jobs in the cities is unreliable and unsafe. The cheapest seats are on the top of buses, often driven at high speeds by youth with dubious qualifications. Accidents are frequent, and as it's the breadwinners that travel the most, a collision can spell disaster for many rural families. Safe passage between these worlds has been long overlooked as an important priority as Bangladeshis become increasingly mobile. Second, virtually every slum dweller lives under the threat of announced and unannounced evictions from their homes. Fatima and Alauddin, living in Korail slum, cannot afford a more secure room in the intersection, and every day face the possibility of being evicted from their home. In the spring of 2012, a mass eviction occurred in Korail, leaving thousands homeless. Fatima and Alauddin are fortunate to have been spared from the eviction. With no savings, they are not sure how they would have survived. BRAC, together with several humanitarian organizations, has started to advocate against these evictions, petitioning the Bangladesh High Court, which ordered the government to halt the Korail evictions. Without this advocacy, the urban poor lacked the base to establish economic and physical security. The growth of cities across Bangladesh is often portrayed as an evil that must be prevented. However, urbanization represents an opportunity for a better life and a reflection of bigger dreams. Urbanization is not something that can or ought to be stopped. If we can overcome the obstacles, providing the poor with an adequate standard of living, removing the risks, and increasing their security, Bangladesh can continue its transformation to a more prosperous nation for all its citizens.